Hello and welcome to Wasteland podcast. I'm Budmaster. I'm here with my co-host King Cobra. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, Budmaster. How are you doing yourself?
Doing good. So last week we spoke a little bit about Radiohead music and how the music industry has what music industry has gained from Radiohead and what their contributions were. Specifically about the album OK Computer.
Yeah.
So I guess you had a chance to listen to the album over the week?
Yes, I did. I familiarized myself with the album, listened to it several times, read the lyrics and everything. So, yes.
Alright, great. So what do you think about the album? What's your first impressions, I guess?
Before I get started on my thoughts about the album, I wanted to give a brief overview of how I tend to listen to albums.
Alright.
I am a believer that each musical album has its own inherent coherence, or entity, and by listening to the lyrics and music, one can decipher the meaning of the songs. Thus, I tend to ignore the artist's external influences in interpreting the song. For example, if the artist was going through some sort of emotional crisis, such as a breakup from a girlfriend, while writing this album, I don't necessarily use that external event of the breakup in this example to help me interpret the album, unless the external event is explicitly stated within the songs. Unless Tom York specifically talks about the breakup, I tend not to influence my interpretation of the album. I will explain why I listen to music this way in future podcasts. Also, I have not seen any of the music videos or really care about what interpretations the artist had about the album, as it should be left to the listener. So I really didn't listen to what Tom York had to say about the interpretations.
I don't think you will understood much from the music videos anyway, because they don't really make sense.
Those British accents are toughy.
That too.
My overall impressions of the album, it's very, I would say the closest thing I can put it next to is very experimental. It's what I first thought about is very Pink Floyd-ish. It's like Pink Floyd. They used a lot of echoing guitars and some sort of electronic bell noises and all that. And what were your thoughts on the album?
Well, I guess before I speak about what I think about this album, I guess I should probably put this album into a more of a historical perspective.
Yeah.
As far as the listeners go, I don't know what they are, but anyway, this album came out in 1997, leading up to the election of Tony Blair as the Prime Minister.
TB, yeah.
TB, yep. In Britain, as well as the New Millennium in 2000. The first two albums by Radiohead, Pablo Honey as well as the Bends, were more of a guitar-oriented rock music.
Okay.
And then, it seems as if Radiohead wanted to deliberately change their song style or the music style.
Mm-hmm.
So they move away from just a guitar, major guitar rock band to what they used to call as Britpop.
Okay.
That's what it was in 90s. This album drops in the backdrop of Britpop movement in 1997. They're like, we're not gonna. They were saying how we want to move away from this. Yeah. All right. So this album as a whole, it attempts to talk about what was going on during the late 90s, especially in Britain. Again, like Tony Blair's Labour Party's win in the elections as well as. So this was obviously this was also the first self-produced album by the band. So this is the first step that they took some sort of independence from the record label, telling them what to do and all the deadlines and stuff. So they had the chance to do whatever they wanted to do, because at that point they were well established, successful band.
Yeah.
So they decided to go with the whole electronics experimental route, and this is the starting point for what we hear from Radiohead nowadays, which is far more experimental, far more progressive.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
So yes, this is the start of it. So as far as the music goes, no other band had tried to do something like this before. Incorporate electronic music into it, because they thought they would be overproducing the album, so they didn't want to risk it.
Okay.
But Radiohead kind of showed that you could actually use electronics, you could use all these kind of things and make a good album. Okay,
sounds good. Okay, is there anything you want to start off by saying about the album, or do you just want to start off with the first song?
Well, the only thing I will say is the title. It's OK Computer. Isn't it sort of like an oxymoron? Like, computer could never be okay. There's no it's not a human. He doesn't have any human feelings. You know, it's either a 0 or a 1. You know, it's no like gray area in the middle where you know, you can process information like a human being and
Okay.
go over things. That's so to me, it's saying how computers aren't built to control human, you know, emotions or whatever. So that's
Or
something.
okay, could also be that Radiohead is kind of accepting that computers
I also thought about it.
are taking over our everyday
Yeah,
lives.
just pretty
and
much
everything.
saying okay, computer, meaning like computers commanding you to do something is pretty much saying okay.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
exactly.
Yeah, that could be it too.
So yeah,
Yeah, but you know, when I'll talk about it later. But when you take all the songs and music in this album into perspective, I think to me it's more about like okay, computer, meaning like the oxymoron.
Okay. Okay then. Should we get into the first song then?
Yeah,
Airbag.
Yep, Airbag is the first song. Should I go or?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Airbag, to me, it's first of all this Airbag and last song is also the Tourist kind of go together. The Tourist, I'll talk about Tourist a little bit. Tourist is about how someone getting in. Tourist is about how someone is getting in to a car, going too fast and getting into a car crash. And Airbag is about how the airbag is saving his life, that person's life. So in a way,
Okay.
this is really the last song. This is not the first song, but for whatever reason, they put it at the first. Well, that's fine. So he can
Intense,
sing his
man.
burst. That word burst. But
That's like a Quentin Tarantino trick, putting that end in the beginning or something.
yeah. So, but as a song as a whole, I think this is about paranoia about technology, and cars is what he used as a metaphor, and it's clearly expressed. You know, not only this song but through the whole album. You know, it's about the technology is taking over and the paranoia about how the technologies can control our lives in the next millennium. Obviously, backstory about this song is that Tom was in a car crash in 1987. And the airbag didn't save his life, but he said
Okay.
he did say that when you're in a car crash like that, or like when you have a near-death experience, it's about you know it's a chance to celebrate that you're still alive, and it's an immediate awareness about how precious life is, and he also said that the airbag is the illusion of safety, when in reality they don't really work. They just go on a random time. So in a way, I think this song's about second chances.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like he says, in an interstellar burst, I'm back to save the universe.
Mhm.
So I
It's
feel
like-
like that particular sentence shows a sense of gratitude. Okay,
I'm still alive.
I came back, obviously,
Yeah.
as fast as an interstellar burst, or that's how I interpret it, as fast as an interstellar burst. I'm back.
One thing I will say though is this song took some listening for me to get used to,
Mm-hmm.
but now I listen to it when he says in an interstellar burst, I'm back to save the.
Are there any interesting musicality things that you liked?
So to me, the music when I listen to a song, I like to listen to music where a song where they have like a peak at the middle. So like the point where you go, all right, this is a great song. So
Yeah.
this song actually does have one of those points, and whenever I listen to this song, I look for that point, and it's in the bridge when Ed O'Brien, the rhythm guitarist, guitar solo.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really nicely written. When he plays it live specifically, he plays it really well, and I always, whenever I listen to this song, look forward to hearing that part. All right, so the second song or the first single from the album is "Paranoid Android," which I'll say a couple things about "Paranoid Android" before you give your thoughts on "Paranoid Android."
Okay, go ahead.
To me, this song obviously this song, it's a long track, 6 minutes. Something that. This is really the start of Radiohead sounding like a progressive rock rather than a punk band or like alternative rock band. This has like three smaller bits, sections combined into like this really a masterpiece. Honestly, okay. I'm not overstating when I say that, but each piece by its own, it's not very remarkable. But like when you put it together, it just sounds epic. Is what it is to me.
Okay.
Again, like I said, songs are more progressive than any other song. It's more like a whole stadium rock sound, and Johnny Greenwood is a genius, and he's playing his guitar.
Okay. Yeah, dude, I agree. The song itself was very good. I thought it completely captured, I would say, the feelings of paranoia, or at least the musicality-wise, and the transitions. There are three particular transitions within the song that I would say captured the stages of paranoia very well. First of all, the song starts off very nice, easy melody, then it picks up a little bit, and that's when York starts singing, about these noises that he's hearing and keeps him awake at night, and he uses the word unborn chicken voices. So it has very morbid, when you think of unborn chicken, it's not a very pleasant sight. So it's a very kind of edgy kind of voices in his head. And then he says, "What's that? What's that?" Obviously referring to those noises. And when you repeat the word "what's that? What's that?" it creates a sensation of fear. I would say definitely anxiety. When you're anxious, you're constantly reassuring yourself or of the things that might befall you. So and then after he goes after the second "what's that" line, the music completely changes. The tempo picks up, and the transition of the tempo and the beats are faster, and it's a different tempo. So I think this is when he's transitioning from hearing voices of the paranoia into the actual moments of paranoia, of what he's actually paranoid about. The first is behaving to the thoughts of paranoia, and now he's going into the actual actions of what the paranoia are about. So he starts talking about some things that he's paranoid about, like ambition makes you look pretty ugly, kicking, squealing, Gucci little piggy. So whoever this piggy is, it's obviously making him very paranoid. And even before he says that line, there's a slight squealing that Tom York does, I would assume, to mimic the squealing of the pig. So that just tells me not only is he having sensation of the paranoia, he's hearing noises of the squealing piggy and everything. So he's very consumed, or he gives the impression he's very consumed about these paranoid thoughts and everything. And then the fourth stanza, it's a little bit esoteric for me. You don't remember, why don't you remember my name? Off with his head, man, off with his head, man. Why don't you remember my name? I mean, obviously, when you repeat sentences in that manner, in that structure, it certainly sounds paranoid and everything. And I really can't add anything to that particular stanza or how you can appreciate it further. It's something people have to look up online. And then he starts a stanza, rain down, rain down. This is when the music slows down and it goes into sort of this gospel kind of theme music. He starts saying rain down, and then it's very extended, long phrases compared to his previous stanza, which was very short, machine-like, quick words and everything. And the way they change the music and everything, but to this particular stanza, it almost gives a sensation that he has either succumbed to this paranoia, or he is so exhausted, he's finally gone with the paranoia, and he's recovering from this exhaustion of being paranoid. That's the kind of sensation that he gives to me. And then he keeps on repeating, rain down, from a great height, from a great height. I can only, or my interpretation of it is, from being exhausted, he just wants to be rain down, and there's a calming effect about rain, and he wants that calming effect after you recover from such paranoia.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, actually, and it's very original. I don't think I've ever heard that anyone see it that way, and I think.
Oh, really? My Uncle Ted just told me that. So no, I'm just.
It might just be the case.
And then the thing that he repeats in the background, towards the end, he repeats a bunch of stuff. And then the last sentences were very unique to me. God loves his children. God loves his children, yeah. It's almost to comfort himself. He's saying those phrases to comfort himself, or this particular individual who's suffering from the paranoia. Sort of like a pacifier. You know how when a baby is during distress, he they put a pacifier in his mouth to reassure him or make him feel comfortable. And I feel like this person is saying to himself right before he panics and vomits, or after he panics and vomits, God loves his children. God loves his children. I'm not sure if York is a very religious man, or God.
No, he's not.
He might not be, no. But this particular individual in the song might love God, or just the love of something so...
Just the fact, just a secure hand, sort of, you know?
Secure hand. It doesn't necessarily have to be a religious term.
Yeah, just...
It can be a very spiritual thing.
Someone who's looking over you, sort of thing.
Someone who's looking over you, perfect. Sort of like a pacifier to help them, so he's saying this... He's saying this back to him to reassure him of this paranoia. So that was my sort of spin on the music. I definitely thought the transitions were excellent. Especially the second to last transition when right before the rain down. I thought that was beautiful. Completely changes the perception and the feeling that someone feels while the song. Okay, yeah. So,
right.
And then the next song will be going on, or
we'll talk about Subterranean Homesick Alien.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on that?
Obviously named after Subterranean Homesick Blues by Bob Dylan. I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but I don't know what the
I'm not familiar with the song. But obviously you mentioned it, so now
I don't know if what the connection between those two are. But obviously, the little story behind the song was that first essay Tom wrote in school was, if you were an alien, how would you see the world? So in a way, this might just be how we envision the world to be.
Okay.
If you go, if you actually read the lyrics, it kind of has that notion. But to me, it's more about somebody else. Like thinking this song's about, you know, being an alienation of being different from other people. You know, he knows there are other people like him, but he just can't find them. Sort of something like that. Because especially if you look at the two verses in the song. All right, so obviously if you look at the first verse, the second part of the first verse, actually, I live in a town where you can't smell a thing. You watch your feet for cracks in the pavement. And obviously it shows the alienation, or sort of like, you know, being far from everyone else in the town. And then
definitely,
if you go later on, it says I wish that they'd swoop down a country lane late at night when I'm driving, take me on board their beautiful ship, show me the world as I'd love to see it. Meaning how he knows there are other people who just like him, how he would like to know those kind of people.
Okay, interesting.
And be with them instead of being alone in this town. So he compares himself with the aliens, meaning different from, you know, rest of the people living in the town, and how we'd like to rather be with them than, you know, whatever he's doing. So to me, that's you know, in a short paragraphs, that's what this song is, you know.
So why does I don't want to be referring back to York, but why does this particular individual feel like an alien? Or does he want? Does he feel like an alien, or does he want to be an alien?
I think he feels like an alien. But he also knows there are other people like him, because again, this goes back to the whole technology thing, how everyone is adapting to this whole technology revolution sort of thing.
Okay.
But he doesn't want to. Like, he wants to stay the way that they were back in, you know, before the whole internet age, I guess.
Okay, that's interesting.
So to me, this is that's what it means.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. Next song is Let Down, which is probably the song that made me sort of admire Radiohead for their musical talent so much. This is the first song that got me into Radiohead. And obviously, I had listened to songs like Creep and which is probably their most popular song.
Okay. I thought you said Creed. I'm like, okay,
no,
that's just a completely different band. But go ahead.
This is a song that got me into it. You know, musically has a rousing, happy sound to it.
Okay.
If you listen to it, the guitars sound really, you know, melodic and sort of like upbeat, rousing feeling to it, you know. But if you really look at the lyrics, like many other Radiohead songs, just the lyrics are pretty, you know, they're somber and sad songs, what it is.
Okay. So Greenwood is tearing it in the song.
I'm sorry?
He's jamming in the song, Greenwood.
Yeah. I haven't actually there aren't many video, like, live performances of this song, because it's sort of hard to reproduce or whatever.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there's only one, and it's actually Greenwood is actually playing the keyboard while Ed O'Brien plays the guitar in the song. So, but anyway, the voice itself is very haunting. The sort of haunting voice into it, especially after the bridge is where the song picks up for me. It's this sort of like a weird sound. It's not really Tom York's original like clear voice, but it's obviously put through something, so you will only hear it underneath, and it's like begging for help sort of sound. And I think it's, if you look at the lyrics, it's, you know, the metaphors he uses, especially a crushing bug to the feeling of helplessness, was very well described, I thought. And also there's a part where he's hanging on bottles, which is actually a funny story. Tom was at a bar once,
Okay.
and that he was drinking, obviously, and he sees all these other people miserable, sort of like, you know, trying to hang in the bottles, and he envisioned the floor disappearing, and everyone is like, the only thing, you know, they're hanging on to was the bottles, which were sort of tied to the ceiling or whatever. And that's, you know, so in a way I think it's how people use alcohol to get rid of the problems that they face, especially in the internet age, you know, all the stress that they are facing, I guess.
Okay.
So that to me, that's what the song's about.
Does he specifically mention anything that they might be stressed about, or
I mean, the whole,
or why they're becoming alcoholics?
No, it doesn't necessarily go into all the detail, but obviously if you know, look at the article as a whole, you know, or an album as a whole, like you can almost see what, you know, what it is about, whole, you know, technology, and how it's, you know, it's making people like machines, you know, going to work every day. And I think we'll see the same sort of concept later on in No Surprises. The song No Surprises. So we'll go back, you know, we'll talk a little bit more into it in that song.
Okay, cool. So the next song we'll be going to is Karma Police. So, okay, cool. Karma Police. I would say the speaker of the song, or the narrator of the song, yes, it's Tom York. Thank you very much. But the speaker of the song is doing an action of reporting, I would say. He himself is acting, I would say, almost like a police, trying to point out all these people that need to suffer bad karma because they either talk in maths, that's what one of the lyrics, or have Hitler hairdo. So the two people he specifically mentions within the song are a person who does math, and he buzzes like a fridge, and he buzzes like a detuned radio. And the second person he mentions is a girl who has a Hitler hairdo and is making the narrator of the song very ill. So both of these people are making this person feel very ill or discomfortable, or he's judging them. So the narrator feels like he either should call the karma police on them, or he thus reporting their actions to the karma police. So he feels like some sort of karmic justice or karmic bad should befall these people. So he's doing the act of reporting. And he's very fine with this. He's very fine with reporting these people because the piano is very soft, subtle. So he's very comfortable in the action of doing this particular reporting, or what he thinks he is reporting. And there's no distortion to the piano, so it reinforces the fact that he's very comfortable with this reporting. And then it transitions into the second stanza of the song, where his voice becomes a little bit more distorted and less comfortable. I've given all I can, and it's not enough. I've given all I can, but we're still on the payroll. So my interpretation of this song is the payroll is referring to his own karma. So he feels like by reporting other people's bad karma in his weird,
fucked up mind,
delusional mind, he feels like he's ridding himself of payroll. Or that's the only way. I'm sure there's many interpretations that are more valid than mine.
It was interesting because whenever I looked for the other people's perspective, no one really talked about that second verse, I guess. The one that you talk about, the payroll. That's the second verse. No one really talks. Oh, actually, this song doesn't have verses, do they? Well, they don't have. It doesn't have a chorus. Sorry, it goes. It has some weird structure to it, and I guess it's a verse, sort of like, I don't know how to describe that part, but anyway, no one really goes into detail about it.
And then he could either be talking about his own payroll, or he's talking about other people's payrolls that even though they're trying to be good and all that, they can't get rid of their bad karmic. That "we" is a little bit interesting. So you can possibly interpret that as either some other people, they're trying to be good, but they can't get rid of their karmic thing, or he's by himself reporting, or the narrator. Sorry, I'm trying to be unisex with my pronouns. The narrator can be, by reporting, he's trying to get. So there's two different ways that I feel like, and then he gets into the phrase, "That is what you get when you mess with us," and that particular "us." Okay, and then he goes into the line, "That is what you get when you mess with us."
Yeah,
and that "us," it's a different. The way he says it is a little bit different than he said the previous "us." So there's obviously like some sort of distortion in York's voice that tells me that there's some sort of change coming in him.
Yeah,
and then he says, "And for a minute there," and that's when the beat kind of changes.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite part of the song. Is that the whole the part where I feel for a minute there, I lost myself toward the end. It's like, you go to this whole high pitched thing, and it's like kind of epic sort of ending. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's an epic ending, and in the background people are humming.
Yeah. So
it has a sort of like a chorus melodic, nice soothing background. I lost myself. So I'm not sure if the narrator is acknowledging that he was delusional in trying to report other people's bad, or what he viewed as other people's bad habits, or bad, people who, and so he's coming to that realization, I lost myself.
Okay.
And then he's not exactly remorseful that he lost himself. He's just glad that he caught himself from going too far into that habit of reporting others. So he's glad he didn't go all the way, and he didn't go further into that kind of delusional world. And then what I found interesting was, and then the song ends on this weird like scratching tune in the background, very staticky, almost like a detuned radio.
Yeah.
So that almost felt like, he's shutting himself off, or he's shutting the machine inside of him off.
Okay.
So
right,
yeah,
cool.
that's what I found.
All right, so the next song is "No Surprises." It's actually one of my favorite songs from Radiohead. Really nice tune, nice melody with xylophone and guitar. And it's lyrically, it's just like Let Down. Music is pretty, but the lyrics are dark.
Yeah.
If I go specifically into the lyrics, a heart that's full up like a landfill. Heart, which is a middle of the human emotions, is full like a landfill. Put trash in. So at that point, that really is what it is. And I told you about. I said about.
Is that a comment about our consumerism, man?
That could be. I don't know. That's for you to decide. At the beginning, when you start with Airbag, it's about rebirth, more great appreciation for life, and then throughout the album, you're reaching a climatic ending where, nothing you look at, nothing that seems normal is nothing that seems normal is normal. All right, so at this point, which is this is the 10th track, yeah, this is number 10. This is your heart is pretty much full of trash. that's the way I look at it.
That's cold, man.
And then he goes on to talk about a job that is slowly killing you, a government that doesn't speak for you, bruises that won't heal, possibly emotional turmoil from relationships. So it's pretty much what you're gonna get with the next millennium, next computer age, I guess.
Wow.
And then he says, finally, and I'll take a quiet life, a handshake of carbon monoxide, hinting at suicide, meaning he can let go of everything by just killing himself. And he also goes on to talk about life would be different, how life would be different and happier if there were no alarms to get up in the morning and no surprises when you arrive at work, sort of thing. So that's toward the end, it's like no alarms, no surprises, meaning no one telling you to do anything or what to do what to do, and there won't be any risks taken. So that's my take on that song.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's finish it up with the Tourist.
Yep.
Okay.
Tourist is the last song, and like I said, this goes hand in hand with Airbag, which starts with a great appreciation for life, or sort of the story starts with someone driving too fast and getting into a crash, and airbag, meaning airbag saving the life. That's why I said airbag should come after tourist.
Yeah.
To me, there's the other sort of meaning this song has is when a tourist visits a place, usually tries to do as many things as in the shortest, possible time.
Yeah.
Because whatever the reason, maybe the world we live in now, you only get 1 week or 2 week vacation, and you try to do as much as possible. I think that's where he's trying to get at. And
so he's telling us to slow down, enjoy it.
He might just be, he's telling tourists to slow down and enjoy the scenery.
Okay.
And at the end of the song, it says slow down, slow down. Maybe he deliberately added it, telling the society to slow down with the technology and economic growth and all that stuff.
So you feel Airbag should be the last song?
Yeah, but 1 second. Slow down, slow down. Maybe they deliberately added telling his society to slow down with the technology and economic growth, and then he says, "Where the hell am I going?" It forces most of us to ask that question. Where we are going and why we are going. And I think that's a great point to sort of end the album.
Okay.
Going back to your question, I think that airbag? I'm not saying it should be airbag should be after tourists, because I think Where the Hell Am I Going is a great place to end the album at that point. In 1997, you didn't know what to expect after 2000s or whatever. You didn't know, they didn't know where they were going to go with the whole computer age. So maybe the reason they added airbag to the beginning was to show that there's hope for life, but at the toward the end, throughout the album, it just goes.
So slow down in the sense where we're going, in the sense, are we doing something immoral and we should think about doing something, correcting that immorality, or is he being paranoid in the sense?
I think it's more about paranoid, because I don't really think about, when you think of Tom York, morality doesn't really come to mind.
Okay.
He's not that moral whatever.
Yeah.
Person. To me, it's more about take it slow and enjoy the little things in life, sort of way. In a very innocent way.
So he's saying be less paranoid
about
where you're going, and be concerned.
Well, what he's trying to say, I think, is the society as a whole needs to slow down so he can stop being paranoid.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I think. But
that was beautiful, man. So go ahead.
So the OK Computer, to me, is a concept album about how the technology was going to start controlling our lives in the next millennium, and how we should not let it control us.
Okay. Do you feel like do you feel like the narrator or the person, whatever Tom York is trying to represent, he doesn't trust technology? He's okay with technology?
He's not okay with technology, obviously, because
did you feel like any part of the album that he felt comfortable with technology? I mean, there's a lot of things that technology does really well.
Yeah, that's true, but not in his mind, I guess.
For example, like the electronic distortion that's caused by technology.
That's true. That is true, but maybe he's referring to a different type of technology where you go to work every day, and no surprises, it's a job that's slowly killing you. That's just straight out of the song, and it's about going 8 to 5. I have a lot of experience with that.
So there's many paths that Tom York, and not to do. We keep on saying York, but I'm sure all the other band members had much to.
By York. York is the one who writes songs.
Okay, then I take my sentence back.
Well, although
I'm sure they,
Radiohead.
When they collaboratively. So overall, it was a very good album, we would say. We like the transitions of the music. So we're going to end the podcast on that note. We hope our discussion of the podcast has helped or will help in you enjoying, this particular album. And if it doesn't, please let us know so we can never do this album. We'll never
do another album again.
Yeah, so let us know. Okay, that's it.
Peace out.
See ya.